Alright, so I'm here to show you my 3.17 explosive arrow Chieftain for hardcore solo self-found. So just to start with, this is a build conversion from Pulsteron, who did a version for Elementalist with what I would say would be sort of softcore defense numbers. Nothing horrific, but I wanted a little bit more. Really excellent build. If you're looking to do this in softcore, that's what you should look at. But I wanted to see if I could push it a little bit further in terms of tankiness. So what I first started with was just converting the Elementalist build as it existed. But what I found was there's just too many things that you need to hit for it to work. So you need to be down here to get a totem. You need to be here to get a totem. You need to be here to get some duration and some good damage. You need to be here to get a totem. There weren't enough things to cut to add defenses to make the Elementalist build work to the degree that I would like to see it working. But I've rebuilt it as a Chieftain, and I think we've hit something pretty good. So first off, I'll show you my version is going to be solo self-found, so the items here are the ones that he had up on that build, and I'm just going to take those off, and you can see how it switches things around. So first off, this is an influenced item. I'm not sure how easy those are going to be to get. I'm not actually sure any of these are even influence mods, but just to be safe, we'll switch to here. Calms is farmable, but not comfortably. Belly is farmable, so I'm okay with that. It's just a generic thing for solo self-found. You could also obviously have a good rare armor instead. Death Rush drops pretty frequently. You could just have it in, but just to keep it 100, I have it as an amethyst ring. And then this is I've switched out for Stygian Vice. This one's going to hurt. So this is going to drop our Ignite DPS by a fair amount. Deity and Dawn does drop a reasonable amount, but again, this is supposed to be solo self-found league start, so Stygian Vice it is. Okay, so that left us with 1.2 million Ignite DPS, which I think is pretty good for the goals that we're trying to hit, considering the gear is not very good. Like last year, or not last year, last season, Toxic Rain Champion was sort of the king of hardcore solo self-found, and that had half as much damage as this, so I do think that this should be enough. So what else am I going to show you? My goals for a hardcore build are to have over 1500 damage on a max hit with an enemy hit of at least 10,000 and over 30,000 elemental, which we didn't quite get to. You can see these two are not quite there. We could get them in 2 skill points by going ding and ding, but I wanted to show a level 90 skill tree. But this build does have a lot of things going for it. One thing that it has is that it has 100% spell suppression chance, and then we are suppressing even more damage because of Inveterate, and if we had another skill point to put in, we would shoot the Mastery prevent plus 2% of suppressed spell damage. When the totems are summoned, they taunt for 1 second, so that'll keep us alive as well. We have Determination, Grace, and Defiance banner all up. We have a 58% chance to evade. We have Endurance charges from Valakos Storm's Embrace. This is, if you're following this as a conversion, this is a skill that I added, okay, Enduring Cry. And because of Storm's Embrace, it can be a 0 power Enduring Cry, and we're still going to get our charges, because anytime we War Cry, we get an Endurance charge every second. And that meant that we did have to switch one other thing. So Immortal Call has been put in place of Molten Shell because we need to be losing endurance charges. I have it turned off so we can check the damage calculation without it boosting our numbers. Because this gives us more damage if we've lost an endurance charge in the past 8 seconds, which we're getting rid of with the Immortal Call. So a couple things we need to make sure we're hitting. First, that we're getting the maximum number of fuses. We need to get 20 fuses on in the allotted time. And to calculate that, we take the attack rate, 2.08, times the number of totems, 6, times the skill duration, 1.15. I'll show you where you can look that up here. we're getting that additional duration from the damage over time mastery. And then plus 1 for every totem you have, because there's that initial burst of 6 fuses, and then it'll go 6, 12, 18, and if you're fast enough to get 24 in the amount of time, you would have that amount, but that breakpoint is far enough away that we're just hitting 20. And the other thing we need to make sure is that we are hitting 100% chance to ignite. We're not an elementalist anymore, so we don't have the advantage of Shaper of Flame, so we have to pick this up on the tree. We're getting 25% from Chieftain. And we're coming down here, and we're getting another 35%. Getting 10% from Holy Dominion. That leaves us with 5% that we need to cover, which we're getting from flammability. So we have 95% chance without flammability and 100% with. What else do I need to go over? All right, so we have 6 additional sockets from getting rid of Calms. And there's not a lot that this build wants to do with sockets. If someone has some better ideas for how to spin these, let me know. I didn't come up with anything amazing, but with this amount, we should be able to keep a Golem alive, considering we have Determination, Grace, Defiance, Banner a reasonable percentage of the time, and it's just there for a damage boost. So I have that on. It's only 4%. You can take it off. It barely makes a difference if you don't want to deal with minions. Animate Guardian isn't... I don't have any damage ticked on for that. I'll show you what it'll look like with a little bit of damage for it. I have it turned off, but if you get one of these uniques, which are relatively common, you can get a little bit of DPS boost. This is commented out right now, but if I turn it on, you can see we get a little bit more. But if you don't want to deal with that, we're still doing perfectly well without it, and it's not really contributing all that much. So this is a 90-point tree. If we wanted to do 10 more points, like I said, I would increase the suppression. You could fill this out. One option that you can do, and this is how I initially built the tree, is you can, instead of taking this, you would cut out this path here, and you would cut out this spell suppression. You can route it through here, and then you'll hit Magebane in here for the suppression. You'll be able to grab some life. Is there anything else you're trying to hit? Some more life here. And that works as a tree. That's good, but it basically requires you to be level 100. There's too many things that you need to hit for that to work. So that's why this is built for a 90 skill point tree. And I think that this is a very defensible tree, even if you don't want to cut through. There's enough places where you can add the final 10 levels. This is good for damage and evasion. You can just take a little life node, take that as I mentioned. And you have some flexibility if you need resistances. We're a little bit tight on them. This gear was not particularly well rolled or anything. It's fairly scuffed gear, even by solo self-found standards, except for that it has a lot of spell suppression, which is the only thing that may be a little bit ambitious about what's presented. But you can take, obviously, resistance or no corrupted blood or whatever makes you feel a bit more comfortable with the build. So yeah, I think that's it. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments and I'll answer it as well as I'm able. Again, this was a build conversion from Pulstaron's Guide, which is something that I sometimes like to do when I'm looking at hardcore options, is take a good software build and see what I can do with it. So lots of credit to him for writing that up, and you can get some more in-depth information on his video as well, just in terms of how some of the mechanics works. Yeah, I think that's me. I will see you in the next one. All right, bye-bye.